This is how to beat the Shadow Veil's Easter egg. Before you load in, let's go over your class setup. I recommend running the GS45 because it'll help you during the Easter egg, and you don't really need a red gun for the boss fight, so I just recommend running this. For your field upgrade, make sure you run AETHER Shroud. It's very important that you do. For your tacticals, run decoys or stim shots. For your lethals, start with the combat axe if you can, but if you can't, either start with the frag, Semtex, or C4. And for your gobblegums, if you're playing solo, you want to run stuff like Killjoy, Shields Up, Power Keg, Idolize. And for your fifth gun, you can either use Wonder Bar to try and get a Ray Gun Mark II early, or a backup Perkaholic for the boss fight. If you're in co-op, make sure everyone's running Phoenix up. And real quick, before we load in, if you have any of these augments, put them on to make your game easier. For stamina up, run Dasher and Hotfoot. For quick revive, run Dying Wish. For Juggernog, run Probiotic and Hardened Plates. For Speed Cola, run Classic Formula. For PhD, run Dr. Ram and Tribologist. For Double Tap, run Double Standard and Double Time. For Brain Rot, run Extension. And for AETHER Shroud, run Extra Charge. If you're on co-op, make sure you also put on Group Shroud, but if you're on solo, it doesn't really matter what your other augment is. When you first spawn in, turn around and pick up this combat axe. I'll explain more in a bit, but just do it. Your first objective is getting Pack-a-Punch. So just follow what the game tells you to do until you get to the Sam Room, and then take this path to get to Pack-a-Punch. There's another axe up here you should grab too. Now that you have Pack-a-Punch unlocked, you have to get the Ray Gun Mark II and all three of its variants. To get the base Ray Gun Mark II though, you can do this two ways. Number one, hitting the box for it, or number two, building it. I'm going to show you how to build it right now, but if you already know how to build it, then skip to the next chapter to continue on with the Easter egg. To start, get to round 10 and hold out in the Sam Room. Eventually, a lab zombie will spawn. Kill him and pick up the floppy disk he drops. Once you have that, come to the east foyer near Stamina and put that floppy disk in his computer. Once you do that, a mini lockdown will start where a bunch of vermin will spawn, and after you kill them, a paper will print out of this fax machine. Interact with it and a message will pop up on the screen from Blanchard. Read this message and look for a code word that is in all caps. As of right now, we found 4 words that this can be: moth, crab, yeti, or worm, but if more get found in the future, I will update the pinned comment down below. But read this message and look for what word, either moth, crab, yeti, or worm. Look for which word is in your document, and once you have it, come to the nursery near PhD and there'll be a chalkboard. Ignore the top part of it, just look at the groupings of letters. There are 6 groups of letters here, and with this chalkboard, you have to decipher your code word to get the code for the next step. And the way you decipher it is you want to take your code word and spell it out on this chalkboard and look for which group of letters your letters are in and count how many letters are in that group. So for example, in my game, my code was moth. The first letter in moth is M. So if you look on the chalkboard, the M is in group 4 by itself. So there's only one letter in that group, so that means that M equals 1. The second letter, O, if you look at it, it's in a group that has 6 letters. So my second number is 6. The third letter in moth is T, and in the bottom right group, you can see that it's in a group of 7 letters, and finally, my H is also in a group of 6 letters. So my code for this next step is 1676. And also, this chalkboard will be different in every single game, so it will be different in your game than it is in mine. Once you have your code, return to the Sam Room, and by this door and straight ahead of you will be a doppelgast. Come up to the keypad next to him and enter that 4-digit code that you got from the chalkboard into the machine. Once you put the code in, the doors will open and you'll have to kill this doppelgast. You can just train in this back strip, and there's an ammo crate at the very back of here, so you can just run him back and forth until you kill him, and once you do kill him, pick up the severed arm that he drops. Now finally, take that severed arm and follow the exact path I'm taking to get to the armory, and once you're in here, you'll see the Mark II inside the case, and what you have to do is place that severed arm on the right side of the case to open it to unlock the free Ray Gun Mark II. Now that you have the base Mark II, you want to build all 3 variants. Just like the base ray gun, I'm going to show you how to do them right now, but if you already know how to do them, then skip to this chapter to continue on with the Easter egg. To build all 3 ray guns, you're first going to need to grab the 3 empty canisters. The first one you can find by breaking these blue crystals around the map with your Ray Gun Mark II. It has to be with your Mark II. The first one's in the conservatory near Quick Revive. The second one's in the ceiling of the east foyer where the fax machine is. The third one's on the roof of the southwest balcony. And the last location is in the service tunnel near the armory. Shoot these with your Ray Gun Mark II, and one of them will drop an empty canister. Pick it up, and that's one of the 3 that you need. For the second canister, you want to run to the Sam Room and look to the left of the crafting table. On the wall next to it will be a letter, either A or B. Take note of which letter is in your game. Now go to where the doppelgast was trapped for the Mark II Easter egg, and outside the map here you can see 4 valves. The left one's steaming, the middle one is not, and then that one splits to the A pipe and the B pipe. You want to throw your axes from earlier on the middle valve to crank it. If you line up the bottom bottom of your crosshair with it, then you'll hit it. Now throw another combat axe at either the A valve or the B valve, whichever letter was on the wall in the SAM room. Hit that valve too, and then return to the crafting table, and then this pod right here next to it will be broken. Throw an explosive on it or shoot it with your GS45 to get the second canister. And for the third canister, follow the same path I do in the service tunnel, and there will be a Casimir portal in this zombie's hand. Grab it, then go behind double tap, and outside this zombie spawn will be a canister. Throw your Casimir portal underground inside the map, not outside the map, but inside the map, and that'll suck the canister in the map. Grab it, and now you have all three. Now let's start building the ray gun, starting with the W. Come to Shem's Henge near Speed Cola and place the canister in this machine. Doing so will spawn an abomination. You want to get this abomination to shoot the 3 smaller rocks in this area with his beam attack, and then after he does that and turns them blue, you then want to get the abomination to charge into the stone to get the stone to float. Keep like a short to medium distance from him to get him to do the beam attack, and for his charge attack, go him to one side and then run to the other side in front of one of the smaller rocks, and then when he starts charging you, run behind that rock, and that should work. Once all 3 small rocks are floating, the abomination will die and a lockdown will start. To beat this lockdown, you want to kill all the vermin to prevent them from disrupting the power siphon. If you charge a percentage meter all the way up before the timer ticks down, then you can return to where you placed that canister in that yellow machine and pick up the now explosive canister. Now that you have that, bring it to the workbench in the supply depot near their armory and craft your ray gun Mark 2W. The next ray gun we'll craft is the P. To start, you need to grab 2 reflectors. The first is in this fountain near Quick Revive, and the second is in this fountain near PhD. They're in the same locations every game. It's pretty nice. What isn't nice though is the next step. You have to look around the map for white wooden boxes and break them with your ray gun Mark II to find an essence bomb. This is gonna take you a while because there's like 20 different locations for them, and right now I'm showing you every location that I'm currently aware of, but if something happens and I stumble across another one in the future, then I'll leave an update in the pinned comments. But if you're on solo and you still can't find it after you check every single location, then you can save and quit, and when you reload your game, the essence bomb will respawn in a different box. After you find the essence bomb, grab it and go to the service tunnel near the tier 3 armor wall by and place the bomb on this rubble. Doing so will reveal a secret room. To start this last step, place your canister in this device, and that'll make this blue crystal shine a light on this beam. Our goal here is to use the reflectors we picked up to shine this light onto the 3 doppelgas statues. So to hit your first beam, place your first reflector right here on this beam, and then the light will shine across the room to another beam. Place the reflector on that one too, and that should line it up so the light is hitting the first statue. If the light's hitting the statue, run to the blue crystal and melee it to send an orb to the doppelgas statue to spawn in a doppelgast. Kill him, and that's one of the 3 souls we need. So for the second statue, go back to where you placed the second reflector and pick it back up. Now go back to where you placed the first one and melee it twice until it's shining on another statue. When it is, do the same thing. Melee the crystal, kill the doppelgast, and to line up the third one, melee the first one twice until the light is shining through this hole. When it is, take the same path I am to get up to this hole and place your second reflector down and melee it to line up the light with the third statue. When you spawn in this doppelgast, it'll be an HVT beefed up version, so be careful of him, make sure you don't die, but after you kill him, pick back up the canister you placed and go to the director's quarters near Death Perception to craft the ray gun Mark 2P. To get the last ray gun, the Mark 2R, we gotta shoot 4 plants around the map with our Mark 2 or an explosive like a grenade or your Pack-a-Punch GS45. You gotta shoot it with these weapons to get it to drop a seed. You need to grab 4 seeds in total to do this next step. Right now I'm showing you all the locations that I know of. Just like the Mark 2P, there's quite a bit of locations for these plants. Thankfully, it's nowhere near as bad as the white boxes, but with that being said, there still are, I think, 10 different locations, so come check all these locations, and once you collect all 4, go to the conservatory near Quick Revive and place your empty canister in this yellow device. Now at this point, the last step, there are 4 planters in here that you have to place the seeds in and protect them from zombies for 30 seconds each until they grow. Right here's the first planter, here's the second planter, here's the third planter, and finally, here's the last planter outside. Once you defend all 4 seeds until they grow into big plants, return to the empty canister you placed and pick up the now toxic canister. And finally, to build it, bring the toxic canister to the workbench and spawn, and craft the Ray Gun Mark II-R. Now that you have all 3 Mark IIs, let's start this Easter egg. To do it, we gotta do 3 mini quests that all require a Mark II to do. Let's start with the one for the W ray gun, or the blue one. So first, go to the supply depot and grab the W, and then come up the zipline to the banquet hall. In this room, there'll be a lamp in a box. Pick it up and place it in this hole near Juggernog. Doing so will start a 3-wave long Samantha Says game where the lights will blink, and you have to interact with the lights in the same order to repeat the code. Once you do it 3 times, the door will open, revealing a secret room. In this room is a painting with a computer next to it. Interact with the computer and it'll start a soul box, where you have to get kills near this painting with your blue ray gun. It has to be with the blue ray gun. After 5 to 10 kills, the painting will disappear, and you can climb inside where it was to find another secret room. In this room is a man that wants a drink, so let's go get him one. Come to the study near the library, and somewhere in this room will be a bell. Right now I'm showing you all the locations that I currently know of, and so far I've found around 8 locations, so these are all the locations that I know of, but if something happens I find more, I'll update it in the pinned comment. Another tip for this step is if you're in a solo game and you can't find it, and you checked all these locations, save and quit your game, and when you reload your game, the bell will change spawns. When you find the bell somewhere in this room, break the glass in front of it if there's glass protecting it, and then pick it up. At this point, get brain rot on your gun and go to the overlook, or the upper level of the grand foyer. Come to the bar up here and place the bell on this counter. Now just sit around here and try to get a brain rot zombie to spawn in. Once you do get one to spawn in, ring the bell you placed down, and the zombie will jump behind a counter and give you a drink that you can pick up. At this point, we're about to start the first of 3 lockdowns in this Easter egg, so before you start it, make sure you have Juggernog, a revive if you went down, and make sure your ray gun is at least single pack-a-punched. When you're ready for the lockdown, return to the blue room and place the flask on this stand. Doing so will start a lockdown where a mangler will spawn with a protective blue bubble around him. The only way to get rid of this blue bubble is with your blue ray gun. So spray him down with your ray gun to get rid of the bubble and then shoot him in the head until the bubble comes back. Do this 4 times until you kill him, and then after you kill him, grab the max ammo and pick up the Sentinel artifact on the stand, and that is the first of the 3 challenges completed. The next one we're going to cover is the R ray gun, so go back to spawn and craft it, and then go to the library. In this room is another big painting with a computer. Do the same thing. Interact with the computer, get 5 to 10 kills with your ray gun near this painting, and then after you open it, we need to collect 3 items around the map, and you can only see them in AETHER Shroud. The first part is the ID badge, and you can find it either in the fireplace in the east foyer, in the fireplace in the banquet hall, or in the fireplace in the study. The second part is the audio log, and you can find it either right in front of the yellow portal, on this couch, or on a desk next to the bar. And finally, the last part is the ledger, and you can find it either on this desk in the study next to the fireplace, or on this desk in the east foyer. Once you have all 3 parts, return to the library, and there'll be 3 white books in this bookshelf. Now, to be completely honest, I don't really understand this part, and there's no penalty for brute forcing it, so just interact with these books in a different order over and over again until, when you do, they'll slide out of this bookshelf a little bit. Once all 3 books are out, another bookshelf will open to reveal the secret documents. Pick them up, and now we're ready for the second lockdown. So make sure you have all your perks, and also get Deadshot Daiquiri for this lockdown. When you're ready for the lockdown, place it down on this stand, and eventually an amalgam will spawn with a yellow protective bubble around them. And you guessed it, you gotta destroy it with your yellow ray gun. I'm seeing people have a lot of trouble with this one, but if you just train him around this room in the exact same way I do and pick him off from afar, then you shouldn't really have any problem with it. Also, when you headshot a zombie with this ray gun, it'll drop a cloud of gas that'll do a decent amount of damage to the amalgam, and also, if you hit him in his head with the ray gun, you'll also deal a ton of damage to him. But regardless, after you kill him, return to the stand and pick up the Sentinel artifact. And with that, that is 2 of the 3 done. And for the last one, you want to get the Ray Gun Mark II-P from the director's quarters and go to the banquet hall. Same as the other 2, interact with this computer and charge it with your ray gun, and once it's open, go inside this secret room and pick up this red bottle. Now we need to spawn 3 Elder Disciples around the map and kill them. So come to the bottle near the Ray Gun Mark II-P workbench and interact with this chalice to spawn one in. If you aim down sight and headshot him, then you should be able to take him out relatively easily. Once you kill him, go to the overlook, and the second chalice is right here near the bar. Same thing with it, interact with it and kill the Elder Disciple, and the last chalice is in the spawn near the bridge. Once you kill all 3 disciples, return to the banquet hall, and around the elevator will be 3 numbers. Write them down in order from left to right. Once you have them written down, go to Death Perception, and next to it, there'll be a safe on the ground. Put your numbers in the safe, and it'll unlock, giving you the antler carving. Pick it up, and now we're ready to start our final lockdown. When you're ready, go to the purple room and place it on the stand, and an Elder Disciple will spawn. I found that the best strat for this one was to shoot his bubble off while you're on the floor training the zombies, and then when his bubble goes away, climb on the table invincible and headshot him a few times, and then rinse and repeat. Once you kill him, pick up the Sentinel artifact, and now it is time for the boss fight. This is a pretty hard boss fight, so make sure you get set up. And by get set up, I mean get at least Juggernog, Double Tap, Speed Cola, Stamina, PhD, Quick Revive, and Deadshot Daiquiri. Get the Tier 3 Pack-a-Punch Ray Gun Mark 2W, the blue one. Get your GS45s at least double Pack-a-Punched. And for your Gobblegums, run Idolize, Power Keg, Shields Up, or Killjoy. If you're in co-op, make sure everyone has Phoenix up, and get Casimir portals, get a revive if you need one, and also get a chopper gunner. We'll be using it to make the last phase pretty free. And also, one last thing, make sure you have around 15 to 20,000 points for ammo before you go in. Once you're fully set up, go to the sand room and place the Sentinel artifact on either computer. After the cutscene you'll now be in the boss fight. Now this boss fight has 4 phases, and the way you beat this boss fight is you want to shoot the dinosaur in his eyes with your Ray Gun Mark II to land crit hits on him until he jumps out of the arena. And I'm just going to say this off the rip, in all of these phases he mostly has the same attacks, but with that being said, he will get faster and more aggressive with each phase. So in phase 1 he has 3 attacks. The first is where he'll jump to you and land on you. If this attack fully connects with you, then it'll be a one hit down, but it is possible to survive this. The easiest way to avoid this attack is to simply slide away from where you are when you see him getting ready to jump. His next attack is where he'll spew gas on the arena. This will leave yellow circles on the ground that, much like the toxic zombies, you can't stand in for more than like a second at a time or else you'll die. And finally, his last attack, and I don't really know if you can call it an attack, but it's where he'll go for a toxic zombie and eat him. When he does eat a toxic zombie, a toxic cloud will form around his stomach. When you see this yellow bubble on his body, you can also shoot it to damage him for critical hits. But like I said, it's only when he eats a toxic zombie, and then after you damage it a time or two, it'll go away and you can't damage it again for crit hits until he eats another one. Also, whenever you get low on ammo, the ammo crate is right here. Getting back to the boss fight, just train him around this area and try to shoot him in the eyes and his yellow stomach with your Mark II. Eventually, he will jump out of the arena and spew a bunch of gas, and fun fact, when he's jumping out of the arena, you can still damage him for a bit up here before he turns immune. So make sure you're doing this on every phase to maximize your damage. He'll spawn a bunch of zombies on the ground, and after around 45 seconds, he will jump back in the map, and now we are on phase 2. Phase 2 is pretty much the same as phase 1, except like I said, he's a little more faster, so keep a safe distance from him and shoot his eyes and his occasionally yellow stomach, which are still his weak points by the way. Just keep damaging him until eventually he will stop and he'll roar and he'll start glowing green. At this point he'll jump up and you're at the end of phase 2. Now this is where the boss fight starts getting a little crazy. Once he comes back in the arena, he will be noticeably more aggressive than he was in the first 2 phases. At this point in the boss fight, he has a new attack where he can actually spawn in toxic zombies. That's it. That's the attack. Just be aware of it. And also at this point, you can now damage him in his eyes or his stomach pretty much at all times for crit hits. There's still a slight cooldown on the stomach, but you can damage it a lot more frequently for crit hits than you could before. But make sure you're playing the range game and picking him off from afar. And if something happens to where he catches up to you or he lands on you, if whatever happens and you're about to die, don't forget that you have your Gobblegums like Idolize, and you also have AETHER SHROUD, so pop those to save yourself and try to save your chopper gunner for phase 4. I know this guy for this boss fight is kind of cookie cutter, but unfortunately I don't really have that many tips for this boss fight, as it's pretty much what I just said. It's the same fight as the first 2 phases, but faster each phase. But regardless, once he jumps out for phase 3, get ready for the last phase. Once he comes back in the arena, he will be very aggressive. I've gotten caught multiple times in this last phase. What I've found to be the best strat is to just play this phase as normal as long as you can, and then in this phase, if something happens you're about to die from whatever it may be, now use the chopper gunner and spray down the dinosaur, and that should finish off the boss fight. But if it doesn't, either pop an AETHER SHROUD or an Idolize, or just continue running around the boss fight arena as normal and shoot him in the eyes until you kill him. Once you do, you will get to cutscene, and congratulations, you have successfully beaten Shattered Veil's Easter egg. If this guide helped you, make sure you drop a like, and also click this video on the screen right now to go watch all of my BO6 gods. Shout out to my members, thank you all so much for supporting me, and with that being said, I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.